We are back. This is Origins of Our Faith. My name is Rick Richardson. Again, today we're talking about a brief history of the northern kingdom of Israel. Now, again, we got to a period of time that the northern kingdom was here ready to spring onto history's stage. It was a time that Rehoboam, Solomon's son, didn't take the advice of the older advisors, but rather the advice of the young advisors, the guys that were his age, the youngsters, who said, no, tax them more, make it harder for them. And that's what he suggested he was going to do. Jeroboam, who was an individual who had opposed Solomon in the past and was exiled to Egypt upon Solomon's death, came back to the northern part of the kingdom. And Jeroboam then led the rebellion against the southern part of the kingdom, and the kingdom split in two. The northern kingdom being known as Israel, the kingdom or the house of Israel, and the southern kingdom being known as the house or the kingdom of Judah. Now, these two kingdoms from this time on had separate kings, had territory, they were basically two separate nations, and existed as such for about 230 years until approximately 722, when they were overtaken by the Assyrians and taken into captivity and eventually lost their identity and disappeared from history. Now, between the time of their formation and the time of their disappearance, though, they had quite a history. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The history began, again, as a rebellion against some of the things they were trying to get away from. The monarchy of King Solomon and now Rehoboam. Many of them wanted to, they were reminiscent of tribal rights. They wanted to go back to some of that and really weren't happy with the monarchy per se. So that was one issue, the issue of taxation, the issue of people having to go into the army and fight wars. Again, a lot of the things that we talk about, that we have issues with today, were some of the very things that they were discussing and they were debating and they were really complaining about at that time in history. And so to get away from, to have more tribal rights, to get away from some of the taxation, to avoid some of the being drafted into a military, all these things seemed appealing to many of the people in the north. So Jeroboam was set up as king on the northern part of the nation. Now, one of the problems that Jeroboam immediately saw is this nation was really brought together by their religious beliefs. They believed in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who was their ancestor. All of them were descendants from these people. And this was the God that they worshipped. And it was thought, if we keep doing this, we're going to get to the point that everybody wants to get together again. That people will once again go to Jerusalem and keep the various festivals to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jeroboam thought, that's not a good idea. Because once that happens, I will lose my control of all the people. He thought, and being somebody who liked control, liked a certain amount of power that existed with that, decided that he would instead change certain things with the religion. Rather than having the holy place in Jerusalem, he set up a temple in Bethel, which is not too far from Jerusalem. It's to the southern part of the nation, and also one in Dan, which is way up in the northern part of the nation. And so you see two different places, two different towns, with two different temples that were fairly close to get to, where people didn't have to go to Jerusalem anymore. But that wasn't quite enough, because what if they had family members, which many of them did, in the southern part of the nation, and they decided, you know what, we're going to go to Jerusalem this time. Or they just got reminiscent and decided to observe the festivals in Jerusalem as opposed to Dan or Bethel. Well, one way to avoid that is change the date of the festivals. And so he moved the high holy days from the 7th month into the 8th month, to where now, even if they wanted to observe the festivals with their brothers and sisters in the southern part of in the southern kingdom, they couldn't do so because it was on a different date. They didn't celebrate that anymore on the 7th month. Now they were celebrating it on the 8th month. So Jeroboam changed the times of the festivals and the location of the festivals, and he also did something else. He chose, it says, priests from the lowest of the people. So these weren't people that had any significance. Up until this point, the Levites had all been those that were serving in the temple and that were responsible for maintaining the various aspects of the knowledge of the law, and they were the ones that God entrusted to make sure that people did not forget the beliefs that they should adhere to. Well, because Jeroboam decided, I'm not going to have the Levites in that position, I'm going to pick who I choose. And corruption started to come in, and people of any background could become priests. The Levites, the tribe of Levi, then a lot of them decided, we are going to reunite with Judah in the south. And also because of its proximity, the tribe of Benjamin, which was right near that location around Jerusalem, around that area, around Judah, because of their location, they also decided to join with Judah. So as opposed to there being one tribe, as God said he would allow one tribe, now you actually have 3 tribes, Benjamin, Levi, and Judah, as part of the south. Now in the north, you have the remaining 10 tribes. Now you may say, well, I thought there were only 12 tribes. Well, yes, there were, but the tribe of Levi is generally not counted when you're talking about territory or landmass. And Joseph, remember Joseph had 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, are each counted as a separate tribe. And so when you're talking about land, territory, and who gets what land, Ephraim and Manasseh, the 2 sons of Joseph, are considered to be each a separate tribe. And so you have 10 tribes in the north and 3 tribes in the south, because Levi, who did not have land area, most of them who were in towns and various places up in the north, decided we're going to head down to the south and be part of the nation of Judah. So a separation of the 2 nations, the nation in the north going in a different direction, not only changing certain aspects of, or wanting to have certain aspects changed as far as taxation and relief from some of the what they considered tyranny of the monarchy, but they now had new aspects to their religious beliefs. Well, many things that people were expecting really did not happen the way they thought they would. Talk about that after the short break. Take the short break and come right back.